We are at your first lesson, and we ended up talking about a lot of single note stuff, just because I saw some obvious corrections to make there, and then generally talking about acoustic blues, fingerstyle type playing. So, oops, we kind of had a lead guitar oriented week. We're going to come in next time and really hammer the other side of things. But what we did say for, over here is that you're going to definitely use four-finger style, and I don't want you to anchor with your pinky. Like I was saying, the reason is, if we were playing Green Sleeves, all day. If we were playing some arrangement of Flight of the Bumblebee, all day. But when we're playing acoustic blues, we want to be able to throw in percussive stuff, and your subconscious is not going to generate those kinds of ideas with your pinky there. So you could totally find somebody to tell you to do the exact opposite of this, but that would just kind of leave you in a very single notey type of style, like limited to kind of Mississippi John Hurt type shit, as opposed to being able to really stretch out into the full range of guitar, which is why guitar is so cool, is we can bend and play it like a percussion instrument and play bass at the same time. Cool. So stuff on your page, and right hand wise, you asked about alternate picking. Right now the answer is just whatever. It comes naturally, except that I don't want you doing this. Again, the reason is, like, if you're playing single notes, it's totally fine. But we want you to be able to be playing single notes, and then go, in the middle of it. So kind of just little strums, relaxed fist. You can find somebody to play the opposite of that. Here's me on the high strings. My hand naturally falls there. But then when I get to the low strings, the rest of my hand's coming along for the ride so that I can do that if I wanted to. Concept one, mess with that some. Just kind of looking at, okay, I'm going to, not do this. Which, you already do a fair bit of. Concept two, now we're on the page. We got this A minor pentatonic, which is basically any A blues ever. You're going to throw your index finger on A, play this pattern you've known forever, where we talked about you're going to use your ring finger here, even though it's inefficient, and here, but we would never use it here. And that's because we're in like a conversational language course right now. When we're playing down on the low strings, we tend towards single notey type riffs. Whereas when we're up on the high strings, we tend towards a lot of bends and slides and transitions and stuff where we want to have the strong fingers. If we were playing major scales, we would be doing the most efficient hand movement with our thumb in this position, but we're not. We're playing the blues, so we want to. Anyway, so what I wrote on the page is I just wrote out the scale, and then the very first thing I wrote, it was just to try bending here, here, and here, because those are by far most common bend spots. Where I'm on the third string, I'm on the first string, I'm on the second string. And when you're doing that, here's what's up. When you're bending here, if you're already doing this great, use the force of all three fingers. Make sure your index finger is still on the string, so that if you wanted to go, that it would just be there, rather than like, or something. Cool, so then when we get to these two strings, it's not as obvious. You want to use these two fingers to push up. So it's like, and there's that note, you're like, hey, I'm going to play this. No, I'm going to play that. That's eliminated from your process this week, except for, man, shit, I really did that again. I never want to see you again in your life go, I'm going to play, oh no, not that, this. You're kind of thinking of these major scaling ideas that we do play. And that exact shape does occur up in front of our blues box, and that's the only other thing we talked about structurally, is like, I'm up here doing this, and then I could slide up there and already be in position to do this. Just like when we're going in E and going, rather than like, trying to do it with those fingers or whatever. So, anyway, what are you doing right now exactly, is you're just going up and down the scale, thinking about bending there and sliding there. Cool. Having spent some time on that, now we're going to start being more aware of using your fingertips versus your flop down ring finger, and this is going to be frustrating. And what I wrote on the second line down on your page, which you're welcome to look at if you want, is, I wrote a couple instances of, like, you're barring two strings and then hammering on the lower of the two strings, not lower geographically, but lower tonally, not a power chord, but that thing, which is what I wrote on the, I just wrote, like, and on the page, and, so I'm doing this to this, hammering on the lower string without interrupting that note, which I'm accomplishing by it's like I saw you go like, and you did it perfectly, but then when you switched to playing, you're like, so yeah, we're using our fingertips. That's the bad news, and it's gonna feel like starting over. Oh well. Also, it doesn't just go that you lay your index finger across the strings and do stuff. You know, for the most part, we're moving our index fingertip along with our hand, though sometimes we do, and I do like that where we are. But so, yeah, the bummer, though that would make sense, it doesn't go like that. You're going to be moving your fingertip mostly along with the rest of your hand. So that's what we talked about as well. Stop, fuck with that. Having done that, next thing we talked about was, can you just put that there where it's facing you? That'd be awesome. Thanks. Cool. So hammer-ons and pull-offs. Right now we're going to start talking about the other side. Not your ring finger, but your index finger. You know, and this is a game of index plus. Index this, index that, just due to the shape of our hand. Blues playing, that's how this all develops, and why we can learn one scale and do this. It's so easy. It's just index this, index that. So we want our index finger to be really economical. The way we're going to work on that and also work on speed. And only do this after you've just like stopped the video and thought about the previous stuff some. So we're going to do hammer-ons, going up the scale at whatever tempo with pauses, like our memorization versus playing thing. If you get stuck somewhere, don't guess. Just be like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. So hammer-ons on the way up, ultimate goal, actually getting fast at it, but not, you know, getting comfortable with it, then speeding up. And doing pull-offs on the way down. And this is the one that really emphasizes index finger position, because it's literally impossible to do a pull-off without your index finger already being there. And again, we're not accomplishing this by laying our finger. There's like, you know, Curtis Mayfield-y type of riffs where we do that, but they're the exception, not the rule. So yeah, fingertips, just starting to do that. So hammer-ons on the way up, pull-offs on the way down, get really squeaky clean at it. Great. Now you can kind of start combining that with the bend things we were doing and this stuff we were doing. And just be content to do totally uninteresting things that ended up sounding shitty. I just mean like go like, I'm going to do hammer-on, then I'm going to bend. Now I'm going to go, you know, just kind of combine the few things that we just did. Again, those things, which you will have just worked on when you get to this point in the video. You won't be like overwhelmed at all. Or, you know, we're going to use our fingertips so we can do things like multiple strings, using your ring finger here so that we can bend, and then we did pull-offs and hammer-ons to work on your index finger placement. So just kind of, you know, play some riffs you already know is the best way to work on new technique stuff. And then we talked about, so cool, so at exactly 8 minutes in your video, which I'm going to make a note of on your page, that's when we went to stuff other than exactly, you know, other than pentatonic 1. So yeah, we're looking at the stuff out in front of the box now. This, which is just like, you know, exactly adjacent to this, is this. And you're already used to seeing it here, and, you know, that stuff right there. So I'm like, that's the same as going. Cool. So, you know, if we were going to talk about, like, building this structure, it goes, I play these notes, and then I play these right here a whole bunch. There's just so many phrasings that are exactly those 4 dots. So, like we talked about, we transition on our ring finger a lot more than you're going to anticipate, both forward and backward. So there's our first add-on to your house, is, you know, same thing as in E. Cool. And then back behind the box, we've got, we're doing this, and then 3 5 3 5, and transitioning on your ring finger, which is something you already do in some contexts, but backing up there, like if you're going there, I was like, you know, whereas it's going to be your turn. So yeah, kind of pretend you're not allowed to slide with your index finger, except for going, you know, like sliding into a note as an ornament. Just because this is super common. The way people are taught blues boxes, it seems like it's going to go, now I'm playing here, now I'm playing here, but that's kind of not as lyrical a way to approach it, not really representative of what people do, and we'll see that when we start learning solos. Kick ass, man. So that's pretty much what you're doing this week. We've got a bunch of left-hand stuff we're working on. We did it exactly in A, but I'd also like you to do it in E or D, something more up in this part of the fretboard where the scale length is closer. And you'll be soloing up there more often than you'll be soloing down there for your Chicago stuff or whatever. And then first position is sort of just its own thing. These concepts don't come into play as much. Some of them do. But we don't have an index figure to worry about there. That's why playing in E is its own thing, with its own phrasings and so forth. So yeah, you've been guitar lessons, sir. Enjoy. There it is.